Yay.
Power. There you go. How about that?
Simon, I put twice my name on the coin of the month, just to make sure that I was looking what the people were doing. Okay, but I put the same ones. Okay. So you delete it then if you need, or give me the price immediately, because I have double.
Oh, air of confidence.
Sorry, I don't know where to do that. Where do I put my coins?
It's on the forums. If you go to the chat, the first link.
The chat.
I think, no, it's not that one. Sorry. Where is the? Is the second link? The second link.
Paula sent an email this morning, so you can check on the email.
Yeah, it's a forums. It's the second forum.
If you look on the chat, as Marco said, it's the second option. So you've got my quiz first, and then you've got Paula's second, which is the coin quiz. Sorry, the coin selection. Okay,
I see. Harley chatted. John said something to everybody, and that's all I see in my chat. So this is my first time using.
No problem. I can put again.
I'll do it another time, or I'll just list mine here with everyone.
I
see.
Again.
Okay, there's a link there. I see the link.
Yeah, perfect.
Good stuff.
Join the club of the month. Okay, so here I get to put in my name and then the coins that I want, coin of the month. Excellent. Okay, I'll do this. Yeah. You guys, sorry for interrupting.
No problem.
That's fine. So, yes, a coin of the month. It's a fairly simple competition, but it'll be really interesting, especially with the market as it is. It'll be really interesting to see how some of these perform. And it'll be interesting as well to see who's gone for some larger cap coins and who's gone for some really tiny ones that are potential gems, which could go right up or right down, as I think we've seen over the last.
I haven't done the coin. I looked at the coins, but I haven't actually even looked at anything for the past 2 weeks. So, am I okay? Am I exempt?
It's probably, if you've not looked at anything, you're probably feeling a lot better than we're probably feeling right now. So what we'll do then, just to start off, the idea of what we wanted to look at was to almost create a template of, if we're researching coins or we're looking at new projects that we feel might be worthy of investment. It was just really to talk about what are the things that we'll look at, what are the type of things that will guide us towards a coin. So we want to get a template that we can use as a group. So if we're doing coin research, we know the type of things to look at and the type of things that will make us think, yeah, this is a good project, or I'd steer well clear of that. So there's no wrong or right answers. This is literally us gathering in as much as we can. So again, don't feel you're going to say anything stupid, because it might actually be the little gem that we need. So just to start with then, I guess, is there anyone in the group who has done any analysis on projects before they've invested, who can kind of give us an idea of the type of things they've looked at?
I tried to read the white paper for Matic Polygon, but then I got like a bit distracted by the all the benefits that they advertise. So it's been a bit difficult to like kind of understand exactly how they will like reach those like kind of targets, let's say, like they advertise in their website, being 5 developers and like 5 supporting people. So I'm like kind of just wondering how do you usually like kind of you filter the stuff that is in the white paper and in the website, and like gain some like kind of tools for evaluating a coin or the technology that they are like kind of trying to develop.
Yeah. And it's a really good point. I mean, I guess the thing you've got to think about with any of these projects is the white papers will have a lot of information about the project, and it will give you a little bit of a steer as to not necessarily is it a fully legit project or something like that, but you'll get an idea of what's the utility of the project. So what are they aiming to achieve for it? What are their goals? What's the unique selling point almost of that particular project? and what are the type of things that you'll be looking to see as part of the roadmap. So I think, I mean, the white paper is always a really, really good place to start. Very dry reading sometimes, very dry reading, but again, it will be something that you'll look at. And once you start reading a few of them and getting used to some of the projects, and I definitely recommend starting with some of the bigger projects, and obviously go back to things like the Bitcoin white paper and look at some of the bigger projects to see what has worked. So things like Chainlink and stuff like that. So I mean, the white paper is always a really good start. Are there any things that anyone would look for in particular in the white paper? Ryan, welcome, Ryan.
Oh.
I've heard a lot about you. Speak away.
Sorry, Ryan. I would look at the quality of the white paper, just how it's designed. Have they put any effort into it? Sometimes if they're too snazzy or they look like they're too cookie cutter, that starts to put off some red flags for me. Just a basic look over, kind of like if you were looking at somebody's perspective, you'd want to see how their CV looked.
Yeah, I agree with you, Orion. I think that there are some signals that you can kind of, and I would say like what you said, Simon, or the Bitcoin white paper, if it's like your first time kind of going into a new project or reading a white paper, it's kind of like academic articles. It is kind of dry, but once you start to kind of know what sections are really important, like you can get the abstract, but I'm with you, Orion, on like the snazziness of it too, right? If it's too like marketing, like it looks like it's been, redone by a PR marketing company, it's like, there's almost like, I mean, not a template, but you can look at, there are certain sections, like, so the abstract gives you the overview kind of a deal. And then I would say even like the systems, I find that the drawings of like how things actually work. This is connected to this and this and this. That's actually, the visualization is really nice. You can kind of just overview if it seems too overwhelming at first. But I definitely think that the white papers are a really good place to start to see like how much effort did they put into this? How much scientific or like cryptography is in this too? Like what's the tech behind it? And you might not know what every single thing means, but as long as that's kind of put at the forefront of not just thinking, oh, in the future it will be this, right? Just really into down like brass tacks, like what is this actually trying to do that's different, or is making things better, I guess. So I have like I usually download the white papers and stuff, and that might be helpful for the community too, of just like, hey, here's a file of white papers, if you're interested in this one or this one. But I would say Ethereum and Bitcoin, those two are pretty groundbreaking. So if it's as evolved and developed as those two, I think it's a pretty good place to go. And I just personally would love to learn more about how you guys do the chart and the graphs and all that stuff. I don't know about all of that, but that's something I would definitely be willing to learn how to do.
Knowledge sharing, because I'm completely lazy to read. I normally I open the white paper and I stop on the first paragraph, because normally I go with I do some researches to see if someone made a resume of the white paper, and you have some people that you think they are good on giving feedback. You try to feel that sentiment from the projects, because I'm really bad on doing that analysis, and I follow the sentiment. Sometimes I go on the wrong side, but I find that many times you can love a project, or you want to go to the project to invest on the early stage, but you don't have the tools to do it. If you remember back in 2017, it was almost crazy. I remember loads of the ICOs were full on the first 30 seconds, and they were closed. Then back in the day, you have now the IDOs, that the launch pads, that you need to have some certain kind of tokens to access. So I tend a little bit to forget that part. And even I don't do too much research. I just follow the market. Then if something that there is a lot of sentiment, then maybe I start to consider to invest on that specific project.
Yeah, that's pretty mark up. It's interesting actually, because we're talking about the ICOs and so on, but I've started to see some ISOs now, which are I think it's initial staking offerings, which I think Cardano were doing, which was the Sunday swap. I don't know if anyone spotted that in the chat for those that were in the existing group. But that was quite interesting because they're kind of generating airdrops and so on based on people staking with their stake pool. So, okay, that's really good. So I think we've had in the chat, so sorry, I don't know if it's Jay or Jai, how you pronounce it, but would you like to just talk about the 3 points that you've put on?
Hi, this is Jay here. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Good, thanks. This is my first time joining this meetup.
Welcome.
By the way, I don't know very well the rules and regulations here, and then how is it going on here, but I will try to put my points. So the first thing I look into any team or like any coin is basically the project idea. What is exactly this is about? And if I can understand as a dummy, or at least I'm a bit of a technical guy, but still I look to understand like an investor. And suppose that I understood the idea, like if I believe that idea, then I go into the next steps only. Otherwise, I will just skip off the remaining and then I'll just go out. And as a second step, immediately I look into the team and I don't look at how it's going to be implemented or how long it's going to take and so on, But I look at the team and basically I look at also from where, which country, and how the team is really formulated, or is really very distributed, or very central, or is it from a small limited company, whatever it is, and trying to put some things up and so on. Like, there are many, as we know, all ICOs. And the last point is I look for who are the investors basically, and what kind of seed investors. That is for me very interesting to know, like is it A16Z or whatever is blah blah, we know well-known investors, and if they are behind those investors, then obviously I expect some growth, or maybe they have already done some kind of research on the team, and then I believe them blindly sometimes. And these are basically the 3 things. And then if I'm okay with it, and then only I go for the next, trying to understand what they're going to do. Is it a long-term or a short-term? Is it feasible or not feasible? Or is it either Ethereum related, or maybe smart contract or whatever, or maybe some kind of NFTs or whatever. So this is my idea of looking into crypto investment.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you for that, Joe. That's I think that's a really good starting point. And I think with the project idea, I think that's always an interesting one, because the way I tend to think about the project itself is similar to what you do if you were starting up your own business. And when you go about doing that, what you tend to do is look for a problem that people have, or certainly if you want a successful business, a problem that people have, and how can I solve it, which would be my little niche, which is where I'm hoping my business will grow. And if you think about crypto, that's one of the things to me that is a really important thing. Is it going to solve a problem for me? Is it going to do something that will enhance my use of whatever it is that area covers? So if you take VeChain, for example, which the ticker's VET, the idea behind that is that will give you assurance at each stage of production through to distribution of a particular product. I'm not going to go into massive detail on this because of time restrictions, but the idea is that at each point of that will give you assurance that what has been said to be done has actually been done. So if you take an example of having a yogurt on your table that's organic, from free range and so on, you'd be able to track at each point, starting off, is it an organic farm? Have they verified it, had that confirmed? Then it moves on, is the sugar that they've used for that fair trade sugar? Then it moves on, for distribution, has it been, for transport to packaging, has it been stored at a particular temperature? You might have an Internet of Things device built into it that would actually confirm the temperature all the way along. If it goes above that temperature, it class it as ruined, send a message and the driver would have to go back. If not, carries on to the next point, it's verified. So to me, that's real world utility, because you're seeing something that gives you assurance about a product you're buying. Whereas at the moment, the way that's done is the next person in the chain relies on the person before them telling the truth, and then they'll tell the next person that that person, I'm sure, told me the truth. I'm telling you the truth about what's happened with this product. So it's really interesting. But to me, that's a really big problem that solves. So when we start thinking about the product we're looking into or the project we're looking into, that's a fundamental thing for me. Does it solve a problem, or does it enhance something that's already out there? Has anyone else got any other thoughts around product and what they particularly look for when they're looking at product? So anyone that's not spoken yet, if you wanted to chip in.
I always look at the YouTube videos if the team has, or the company has, some videos on YouTube. I think they're very helpful. So that could be like Polkadot has their own channel, Cardano has their own channel, yeah. And the founder often speaks on there. If I find that the founding team isn't involved anymore, I start asking why. So I ran away from Dogecoin immediately after finding he sold it all for a Honda. I also don't like websites that make it too much of a joke. So if you go to like Safe Moon's website, they have silly nicknames. Like it's just silly jokes. Like I'm the master hodler, and if I see funny jokes in positions that are supposed to be focusing on long-term growth, I tend to run away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point, and I think it's interesting at the moment in the space, because what we tend to have done is gone from kind of very serious projects to all of a sudden it's meme related, it's sentiment related, based on kind of what is happening on social media channels, what's happening on things like 4chan or 9gag or whatever. And it definitely makes it a bit more interesting in the space, and I'm sure some of them have got brilliant utility. But again, the number of coins being launched, and if you look at PancakeSwap as an example of that, every single day there's a load of projects that launch on PancakeSwap because it's cheap and easy to do. And if you look it up on YouTube, you can create a token in under 5 minutes, which is quite a scary thing if you think about it. But no, I think you're right. Just going on to that, I think we're talking about communication and community, aren't we? And I think communication is probably one of the big ones that's important. So you're right, the social media channel, I think you've hit the nail on the head. But if you think about Cardano as an example, who doesn't know who Charles Hoskinson is, who's obviously one of the original founders of Ethereum, but's the Cardano man. He's always out there, he's always talking, he's always like selling what ADA does, and it's amazing. But that actually gives you a lot of confidence as an investor in that particular project, because it is out there, it is someone talking about it. Okay, so are there any other things we'd look at around things like communication or community or social aspects of it? Anyone else want to chip in?
I avoid social media, Simon. I try and not look at that's going on Twitter or anything else, because I'm not a big social media person, but you just see way too much. And I agree with what John was saying. I think it's better to watch something on YouTube, catch up on a few videos, then you can actually you can check out things then yourself separately. You can check out the different websites. But the one thing I always avoid now would be social media. I don't actually pay much attention to that. I get pop-ups on the phone, but I just knock them off, because it can throw you off. Like some people would probably be following social media and saying to themselves, oh, look, this is brilliant, I can invest in this. And then all of a sudden, they can either crash or else it could be a dud. You never know. So my advice would be with people, like, try and stay slightly clear of social media,
Is there anything that you think would change your opinion on that, Wayne? So if it was approached in a different way, or something where you've seen it that actually it has been done well?
Well, it's not. It's the fact that in previous conversations we've talked about the likes of Elon Musk and all that, and everything that's called the whales, everything that they do, they abuse social media first. That's the way I look at it, and that's kind of what kind of throws me off. Like I do my own little bit of research every so often, but like I said before, I know I'm only still a couple of months in, so I still have a long way to go to get to your standards. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there'll be anything that will make me believe them when I see the social media things, you know. Like I actually joined, like because of this group, I actually joined up to Twitter, and then I was getting bombarded with stuff. So I kind of went, okay, I think we have to leave this for a while.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one because social media. I think if you look at, I mean, I've got a slightly different view personally, which is I would tend to look at the communication and the social media aspect and just see how active the team is. And you're right, I think the quality of what they're putting out is very important. But are they regularly updating? Are they giving you updates on where the project? So if you think about Twitter, for example, it's very easy to do a very short tweet, just saying, this is where we're at in the roadmap, here's a link. These are some of the partners that have come on board or people that we're working with. And even things like incentivize it with competitions. But I think, as you said, it could be done one of two ways. It could be done in quite a, I suppose, a sensible, measured way, or it could be done in a way where actually what's actually happening with it is you're literally pumping or shilling a coin using social media channels. And to me, that's quite damaging. That's the type of project that I'd avoid. So just think about
another point, Simon, I think that is relevant. There is some kind of investment funds that are that have some credibility on the market, and if you see their names there, they did the research, and if they put the money there, that means should be some value there. So in fact I started to look careful now. The list, I think there is a list of at least 5-6 fund investments that I'm looking on their projects to see where they put their money, and try to see if I see some undervalued projects at this stage that I can see some value to invest myself on them. I use Messari to find that lists.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good idea, and I think.
But we need to be attention, because when touches about the social media, there is funds they take money and they just want to have a primary position, and another thing very important is how much that fund will have the funds locked, the tokens locked. That's really important, because if it's a project that they are putting money in the first week, they can release the tokens, they can sell the tokens. That's a red flag. But if they have the tokens closed by 1 year or something like that, you start to see some value on that. That means they are available to put some money on a project and they are willing to wait that projects bring some value to the market. So I think it's a very relevant part of analysis to see how much the investors are willing to wait for the tokens to be released.
That's a really good point, Marco. Thanks for that. And I think you're right. There's a project I invested in recently, and I won't go into it, but they were locking up tokens. You got a particularly high rate on the I suppose the liquidity providing for it, but they only gave you 5% of those tokens, and the rest were locked, and it was a staggered unlock of them over a 6-year period, actually, which is quite a long time. But it means that you're right, people aren't just going to get everything, dump it, and crash the price of the coin or whatever.
Because there is people there is I saw already there was a video or an interview that I saw on YouTube. They were discussing about that. There is funds that are on the market that is mandatory for them to put the money that the tokens are released on a short period of time, and that's really because I remember the Occam, the project Occam. in 30 seconds they sold everything, and in 5 minutes later the tokens were 25 times more on the exchanges. So that's completely it makes sense to them to, okay, give me the tokens immediately because we want to get rid of them, and easy money for them. And for me, that's a really red flag. That means there is no substance on the project that makes them to analyze.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thanks, Marco. Ryan, you put AMA in the chat, which is slang for, I think, for Ask Me Anything. Do you want to just explain that?
It is, yeah. I like to see when the founders and people that are involved in the project are willing to answer questions. A lot of times they'll get on YouTube and a YouTuber will ask them questions, gives them an opportunity to show what they're about in a different way than just having to read it on paper. And then you get some very good questions posed to them and you can see how they react to them. You get a feeling on whether they're a serious company or a serious project. So I do enjoy doing that. It's a way I can pick up a lot of information.
And are there any ones in particular where there have been questions that you felt were either quite hard-hitting ones or ones that made you think, actually, yeah, I can see this team's really knows what.
Right. Well, the one I'm researching right now is the Mutable X, which is not actually a token in itself, but it's a layer 2 solution for Ethereum. It's a company as well. And so one of the ways that I'm researching them, because it's very dry and very hard to try to get the information off the internet, reading papers, is just to go to all the AMAs that they've been doing. And I'm picking up a lot of information from that. And I feel like I'm finally starting to understand what they're doing, what they're about. And then I'll use that to determine whether, different tokens, different projects that are going to move to that layer, whether it's worthwhile, whether it's a strong thing for them to do.
Yeah, that's really valid. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, Carlos, you've been a little bit quiet. Have you got anything you feel we'd be looking at for a particular project we're going to invest in? Sorry, I'll put you on the spot there.
No, that's fine. I haven't really created any method because I've just been caught up with crypto a little bit late. So what I've been looking at is all the new projects coming on, ICOs and and the launch pads, and I've gambled a little bit with those, but I don't have a consistent method. A lot of it is related to memes, and I think when they have a large audience, they will pick up in value, and then eventually they will crash.
Yeah.
And by opposition to all the more solid projects, where I think the prices are already so far ahead that it's difficult to make an investment in terms of investment and recoup any money out of that. So I don't really have a method. I hope I don't know, in the next months and gradually get more involved in it and be able to be a little bit more to ascertain or be more specific in the analysis. For the time being, I do get a bit lost with so many projects and so many variables. You got to realize by opposition, I think the majority of people caught the previous wave in crypto, and things have evolved quite a bit. Well, in the beginning was Bitcoin and Ethereum and maybe a few altcoins. Now there's so many coins that you get a little bit lost in the nature of projects. And as somebody said, just the description of the project by itself, it might not mean anything to you. You might have a great description, but what does it mean in reality? So just questions from my part, not really any answers to what you.
No, that's great, and I think the thing to bear in mind is we're all at different stages of the journey as well. So I think what we're trying to do as part of this meetup, and we're not going to get
Just 2 points to Carlos, or to persons like Carlos that are on that stage. If you find a project that run already and is already going up on value on the market, you wait for the correction, because most of the time all the tokens correct at least 61%. That is the Fibonacci gold point. And if you see, you can start checking charts over charts. You see that happen almost all the time. I think the only exception to that is Bitcoin. Normally don't correct on a bull market 61%. You correct always less so far. And if you feel that there is too much confusion on the market, try to reduce the noise and focus just on the large caps. And then you point one large cap. Let's say if you like the ecosystem of DOT or Link, or sorry, DOT or Matic, then you start to see the coins behind that ecosystem, and you start to see what value exists there, because it's really easy. You get distracted and try to look in so many things. So focus on that pillars, I think is my point. I'm sure some other people can give you another points.
No, I appreciate, and I think that's a good, sorry to interrupt you, Simon.
Yeah.
It is a good strategy to focus, but sometimes you need to see the whole landscape before you're starting focusing. And I think people focus either in Cardano or the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystem, or even Solana. I don't know, because they seem to have some kind of affinity with it. I haven't met a lot of people that really know the projects in depth. They just seem to be more, they developed an affinity with it. And it's a little bit of knowledge, but the most of it is emotional.
Kusama, bear in mind that Kusama is not Kusama is not an ecosystem. Kusama is a support point to Polkadot.
Yes, a support to Polkadot, sorry. Sometimes it gets lost in translation.
Sorry, I'm just conscious of time, because we're, I think we might need to go back in the room in about 5 minutes to join. But I think they're good points. I mean, the bit that I was hoping we'd get a little bit more time to talk about was tokenomics, and looking at when you're looking on CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, or one of the other sites that will show you a list of top 100 or 1,000 coins, what are the types of things you look at? And one of them would be market cap. But are there any particular things that people would look at if they are researching on, say, CoinGecko as an example? So have we got anyone that's not talked that would like to chip in? If you're brand new at crypto, don't worry. As I said, nothing will sound stupid. So is there anyone that's not spoken yet who would like to chip in? So I think we've got Alfonso, Marcus, Shakir, Amjad, Mariana, and Q, who has messaged in the group but hasn't spoken. I'm going to.
Yeah, hi.
Sorry, Queen. It's because you went off camera, Queen. I was like, who's Q? And then it made sense. Sorry, Shakir, you were just about to say something. Sorry.
Yeah, nothing much. Yeah, good evening, everyone. The thing is that, like, I'm new into crypto and also first time joining on this group. So the thing is that I just started like just this month only for the investment. So what I was looking for is that, like, I'm going into some big caps, and then just investing as a, my plan is to have a long-term like investment. So just looking into the big caps and then just like pitching it. So that is when I was just coming up into doing some researches and then trying to gather more information. So nothing much to add for this time.
No, that's really a really good point. So thanks for sharing that. I mean, I guess the thing is, if you look at the crypto market 5 years ago and you look at what was in the top 10 5 years ago compared to what's in there now, some of those projects probably aren't around still, let alone in the top 10. So yeah, I guess thinking about your strategy, and is it a long term, and I think it was mentioned earlier, are we looking at long term, short term, what's the play with it? I think that's quite a good point. Meme coins in particular could be the quite short-term ones, where it's taking a lot of social media hype that goes with it, that's pushing it, and then once that dries up a little bit, And I think we've kind of seen it in a way with some of Elon's tweets. They're becoming less and less effective the more he's doing them, and people are starting to wise up to actually this guy's trolling a lot of the time. But yeah, so a couple of other things, and I'll talk these through, and maybe these are things that you can maybe drop in the chat, or if you join the Telegram, we want to carry this on and add some bits. But it was things like roadmap for the particular project. So have they actually got this is where we want to be next year, this is where we want to be 6 months, this is where we want to be in the next 3 months, or actually in 5 years' time, we're expecting to have achieved this, this, and this. And I think that's quite an important thing. And website, one thing I say about website is if they've got a really good, flashy website, amazing. But actually, what is it telling you? What's the information in it? Because if anyone's played around with things like WordPress or all the various web creation tools now, it's really, really easy to create an amazing looking website with no content on it.
Just one, I think, is relevant to if a project have already a use case or a prototype is something that you should consider, and because they put already some effort to build something, and many times you can test even the solution, and then if you like is get involved, start to challenge the things. I think is a point.
A really good point. Conscious of time, because we've got it's 5 to 9. So we've got some really, really good things there. And what Paula's going to do is she's going to go through this recording and extract some of the points out there. Now my view is with this topic, we've done a little bit of groundwork in this meetup, but it's something we want to carry on doing, and we want to kind of come up with almost a set of almost standards that we'd look at if we're doing research on a project that we want to invest in. What are the things that we're going to look at, and what would that look like? How would we research it? The bit, as I said, the bit I would have liked to have looked at is a little bit more around tokenomics, which is things like what does market cap mean? What do certain signals mean? And it's not all about just the price of that particular token, but maybe that's something we'll pull out in a future one. So what we will do then, if everyone's okay with that, shall we go and join the main room? So if you go to the bottom right, it gives you the option of leave room. Just leave room, don't leave meeting. And that will take us back to the main room where Paula and DC are.
No problem.
So, thank you guys, really, really good input.
Simon.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Join back to the main meeting. Did it give you the option?
I thought I was in the main meeting, and then I got your invite to come back here to room 1.
I'm not sure what happened there, Ryan. It did the same to me. If we try leaving the room again, I think Paula's closing down this meeting room now.